Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa and I'm joined by the magnificent Josh. Hello there, Josh. Hello, hello.
Hello, Sty. How are you today, my friend?
I am really cold. I am frozen, and no doubt you are as well. I think you've got it worse where you are in the north compared to me.
Yeah, just up in the north, in the frozen north of the UK. Oh.
Right, so we're here to talk about Brigitte Lindholm. It's not like I've been sitting there watching the origin story back over and over again to get the pronunciation exactly correct. Brigitte Lindholm.
I'm not even. I can't. So I know. I know. There's going to be commenters of like, it's not that hard. It really isn't that difficult. It's just Brigitte. It's like, it's just you read it and you just say like Bridget. It's just Bridget. I'm sorry if you like any. It's Bridget. Come on.
Brigitte Lindholm's diary. Anyway, let's get stuck into this. So, what we want to do is, I know it's very, very early days, so we're after some knee jerk, and you can't see me, but I am standing up, and I'm like thrusting my knee forward, like in a jerk motion. Reactions to this hero and how it might affect the meta. Now, what I want to say before we get into this is, remember, this is sort of we've only had like a day to play with this hero, but I like to think that our experience with Overwatch does give us some decent insights into the way this could go. I want to make an initial statement. I think this hero is I want to use the word hilariously and then the word OP after that, but it's all right, let me explain it like this.
This is where it gets interesting.
Hang on.
This is where it gets interesting.
Let me just explain this, right? I think it's because it's got so many different abilities. Like, it's got a movement ability, it's got knockback, it's got crowd control, it's got a self-heal, it's got an AoE heal, it's got speed, it's got melee attack, it's got a ranged attack, it's got a barrier. What?
Well, see, like, I'm like one of the 3 people on the planet that seems somewhat like... Okay, my definition of this hero is she's feast or famine. She will either be absolutely incredible and smack a ton of people around, or she'll do absolutely goddamn nothing and just like do 30 heals per second because she has like it's like 150 hit points on a 5-second cooldown, that sort of long-range heal and armor ability. It's a really good ability, but it's like, that's all she can do if she can't hit people. If you can hit people, she's amazing, but I think once you start getting to more long-range comps, if people start playing poke, if people start playing defensively, she's going to just do absolutely nothing.
She suffers heavily from Pharah, I found. Like, Pharah's rocket splash affects you under the barrier, so when the rockets are fired at you, it still hits you. It's really frustrating, because if you look at the angle of her barrier, it isn't like it doesn't protect her front completely, so the rockets, when they hit near her, hit her for the damage, and it's really frustrating. Like, I had some interesting times getting wrecked by Pharah on Volskaya. But let's just go over some of the statistics at the moment for her abilities. So her rocket flail does 35 damage a swing. Now, there is a bug. This will get fixed because you can animation cancel the swing of the flail. So you run in, you primary fire, so you go to do your little swing, and as soon as you've done it, you bring up the barrier shield, then you drop it, and then you attack again. The action of attempting to open the barrier cancels the animation of the melee primary attack, so you can rapidly hit. That is broke. That'll be fixed. I have no doubt about that, because you can put out loads and loads of damage. The barrier shield itself has got 600 health, and you can dash forward with it in stun. Now, the way this stun works is like McCree's flashbang. It is literally McCree's flashbang. In fact, I'm fairly sure it is McCree's flashbang effect that procs as soon as you hit the target, because it's not just single target, it'll hit people in an area if they're together. It stops things like Roadhog's ultimate, etc., etc. It's actually really good. I really like that ability. So that's like kind of like barrier shield and shield bashed, 2 kind of abilities in one. Then you've got repair pack, which is, this is the thing you like, right? This is the instant long range heal, and this is mega powerful. So this is 150 heal, or it gives you 75 armor if you've got full health. I think as well, it will heal you up to full health, and then give you a bit of armor.
And then give you armor over the top.
Yeah.
It's really... So it has like an overheal mechanic baked into it. So if you're topping someone off with it, they'll just get a bit of armor, which is super nice.
Yeah, and like you like this, right? Because I think the thing with this is, if you're very aware of your surroundings, you can instantly, like... It's a shock to the enemy to suddenly give somebody like that much of a heal instantly, or give them the extra armor. When you put this armor onto some heroes, like a very simplistic example of this is, I was playing with a Reinhardt and we were just rushing forward, and it's funny, yeah, it's PTR, right? So matchmaking's terrible, but me and this Reinhardt are just running forward, smashing the crap out of everyone, and I'm like giving him armor as he charges in, and that little bit of extra armor, it's amazing. Like, oh, it's not really a little bit of armor, is it? It's like amazing that is. He's in there, he's more survivable. I'm in there attacking, I'm healing as well, which I guess I should probably explain what that is before we get into this. So that would be, in fact, we've missed an ability where I want to call this flail.
The flail,
It's
the
called whip shot, I think.
Whip shot.
Yeah.
Yes.
This does 70 damage, and this knocks people back. This is when Jeff was going on about, oh yeah, she's a meta-defining hero or meta-changing hero. This is one of the abilities that is the reason for that, essentially, because she's anti-dive. That's the way she is meta-changing.
Yep.
She's very... she's
I
a
call
support
her, so I did a
don't want to dive.
Yeah, I did my brief video on her, and I called her the Queen of Peel because that's how it feels.
Yeah, she's like a
when I
peel
play her,
off
that's
tank
exactly
support.
how I play.
Yeah.
And it's like if your support's getting dove and you throw that heal pack on them, for example, like the armor screws Tracer up, it screws Genji up, it screws Winston up. If Winston tries to dive in, she's just gonna have a target to hit and heal, and she can bounce the Winston away. She can stun the Winston. She can do so much to sort of counteract dive, counteract any deep dives, and just peel for her team in such effective ways. And that's where she's really, really, really good. And stuff like the whip shot will just help with that so much. The only issue with the whip shot is that you can sort of bounce people away before you finish them off. So you've got to learn, it's like that Junkrat effect, right? Where if you use the mine at the wrong time, you launch the target away. Or like Lucio's bouncing people into safety, which is not really what you want to do with it.
Well,
but it does like a after chuck of damage. It's like 70 damage, isn't it?
Yeah, 70 damage. Like when a Winston's diving towards you, you can just bat him away. It's really hilarious, and I think the way it applies the knockback to Winston is a little bit broken because sometimes he would just directly plummet down to earth, like he doesn't get like punted away. It looks really weird. But yeah, like so if Winston's diving onto you, you can knock him away. D.Va, you can knock him away. She's the most tanky support in the game by an absolute mile, and you just don't want to get involved in a melee fight with this hero because, as you say, she's healing when she's doing damage through her passive, which is Inspire, which I think this heals like 80 over about 5 or 6
I've
seconds.
read it's like 80,
like that.
yes, like an 80 heal.
Yeah.
That's like a heal over time that applies after she hits something, and then it'll heal out from her. Like, so you just have to keep tapping stuff, and then everyone around you will get some healing. It's not like you get a big burst, chunky heal or something that. It's a slower heal.
But it also procs off the whip shot as well, so you can like hit people at range with that and still heal people around you. I think as for range, it's something like 20 meters or so around us. So it's kind of like Lucio, right? It's going to be a good heal. It's not like a massive rapid heal. It's not a burst heal, right? But it's good when you're in there involved in a massive fight, which this actually leads on to her ultimate as well, which I really like this, but this is a really funky ultimate. So this is Rally, and what this does is this gives you armor, and I believe this gives you 150 armor over its duration. It doesn't give it you instantly. It starts build. No, actually, I don't think it's over the entire duration.
No, because it's 150 armor instantly, I think, and then it can give you another 150 over the duration. So you can actually get a full 300 armor out of it, but you have to be taking damage.
Yeah, and I think that remains.
The 150 sticks afterwards.
But the way this works is it just makes Brigitte, it makes her move faster. So in theory, the way the devs have visioned this is you're sort of in the back line protecting Anna, or whoever the hell the other support is, from getting attacked by Tracer, let's say, and then your ultimate's ready. So you're like, oh, it's go time. So then you rush forward into the front line, and then you start giving them armor. You start smashing people with your mace, so you're healing them as well. And this is beautiful. But I think actually using this as an initiation is the way to go, not when the fight's breaking out, because you are generating armor for people before they get into the fight. And then as they take damage, they then, as you say, get the additional armor. So actually, they're getting maximum benefit out of this. And if you're in there smashing people with your mace, you're getting hit. Like it's mental. Like, she's really hard to shut down, in my opinion, in that environment where she's rushing forward with the team. If she's with somebody like a Reinhardt, that's great, or like even with a Roadhog or somebody who's super tanky. When she's on her own, she dies. Now, there is footage playing in the background here, and I'm not necessarily sure which part is running at the moment now, but there was a point where I was playing on Volskaya, and the team seemed to think that I was a tank. And I'm like, guys, this is not a tank, right? So I'm trying to hold the choke on Volskaya first point with Brigitte. This doesn't go well because she is not a tank. And as soon as the barrier's down, she's dead. Absolutely dead. So one thing people have got to realize straight away is you can't use her as a primary tank. I think like when we look at comments that Jeff made in the update video, he said she's a support primarily, right? But I think she's more of an off tank, to be honest, than a support.
Yeah, this is where, like, we can start talking about the meta more and more. And this is the big question I have, which is, where does she fit on a team? Because, like, let's say you're playing like 2-2-2, like pretty much everyone does, and that's kind of where it's falling currently. Sombra could change that, but who cares about that for now? where does she fit? Like, does she replace one of your support pieces? Does she replace one of the off tanks? Because honestly, I would prefer seeing her competing against Zarya, against D.Va, for that kind of slot where you can actually play her as this sort of third pseudo off tank support and get her working there. Because in my mind, again, it's just so easy. If they're running a Brigitte, then you just play Pharah, you play Pharmacy, and you just hang back, or you just play like from a high ground area, and she will do so little for their team. And then her healing output is so small compared to something like, what a Zenyatta can do, what a Moira can do, what a Lucio can do. And that is like a weakness. And like, we can gush about how powerful the E is, where you throw out that 150 health, but that's 2 Ana shots. Right, and sure, it's reliable, it's easy to use, but it's still 2 Ana shots, and like an Ana grenade compared to that is huge amounts more value. So her value as a support has me slightly concerned, where it's just like, if the enemy team plays intelligently, I think she can have a really, really tough time getting stuff done. And then once she gets in, oh my god, she's incredible. But it's that getting there factor, and then getting into melee range. And to me, like the idea of, oh hey, my support is running in on the front line trying to bash people, she's just going to die instantly, and then we're going to have no healing.
Well, yeah, it's more of in my eyes, she just takes one of the tank slots in quad tank builds, basically, because she's going to be in there and give you extra sustain. She's got crowd control, which is amazingly powerful, and she does have the burst. I mean, the little combo is you basically shield bash somebody, melee them, and then instantly hit them with the shift ability. So you hit them with whip shot, and this is a surprising amount of damage. It won't instantly.
It annihilates tracers. It's so fun. It's so satisfying.
But it's melee range, right? So if Tracer has got the balls to get into melee range with you, then she's dead. But this means that Tracer just needs to play outside of the melee range. So right now, when you play her on PTR, obviously, like I said, the skill levels are crazy and the bloody team comps are ridiculous. You can get these moments where you feel mega powerful and you rush in and you just destroy Tracer. It's like you're dead, Tracer. Get out of here. But actually, in a proper competitive environment, is Tracer really going to be that stupid to be like, oh, there's a Brigitte Lindholm, I'm going to walk up to her, and then, oh, she's just shield bashed me and I'm dead. It's like, no, they'll give her the same respect as they give McCree. This hero, exactly. Though, like, you got to... Oh, go on. Go on, sir. Go on.
Yeah, you have to play around that stun. You've got to anticipate the stun. The thing is, it does give you more crowd control options. So, if Sombra does swing super heavy into the meta, which is what a lot of people are expecting, like, it's adding another stun to the team. It's adding another form of crowd control that they have to deal with. So Tracer's going to have to deal with it. Sombra's going to have to deal with it. And that armor on top of it will also, like, the ability to give out so much armor. Like, there's a statistic that she tracks, which is, like, armor given. And that's often, like, the same amount as, like, your healing output.
Yeah, hang on. I took a screenshot of this because I was laughing at it. I was like, what the hell? Hang on, here we go. Yeah, 6,827 armor given. I was like, what?
Right, like, as a Tracer or a Sombra or a Winston, like, that's a nightmare to deal with. Armor destroys their damage output. So it's, like, that's a really, really powerful way of shutting down Tracers, especially. And I think that's why Jeff was saying, like, oh yeah, she's really good against a lot of heroes that are strong in the meta at the moment. Tracer, Winston are probably the big two he was talking about there, and probably Sombra on the horizon.
Yeah, like, I guess we should talk about heroes which... would counter her. So obviously Pharah, that's a given. Like, she just cannot do anything to Pharah. She just destroys her. Doomfist, I've had some issues with. Doomfist, like, just punching me into, or just wiping me out, basically. I think, like, in terms of the other DPS, like the hit scan DPS, it's...
I think McCree can sort of slow it because it's so easy to get a flashbang past that. But the thing is, finishing her off afterwards, you need to have the team with you and stuff like that because of that 250 hit points, usually plus a little bit of armor as well, sort of left over from an ultimate. Then she's gonna sort of survive like a fan and stuff like that. So she's gonna stay alive against McCree's, but you can really sort of cause problems from her. In terms of DPS, otherwise. She's not going to be able to do anything against Widow. Supporting Widow,
actually,
I think she's really good.
I agree with this. Yeah, I agree with this. I mean, if you think about Widow and Widow's positioning most of the time, the E ability, the repair pack, is actually quite good. Is it armor pack, repair, whatever? It's the one that gives you armor in the heal. Pack, yeah. If you stick that on a Widow, that's super strong. When you go back to the idea of Winston diving, or even like a Tracer diving a Widow, and that's like. Suddenly she's got 75 armor, although we must state that this armor is not permanent. I think it only lasts for like... Is it like
it lasts for like the cooldown. It's like a 5 second. It's a 5 second duration. I think it lasts the same amount as the cooldown. Yeah. So you can constantly have some armor on someone. But it's more than enough for like the Widow to survive. And that's all you generally need as Widowmaker is just someone turning around every so often, throwing you a health pack or throwing you a little bit of healing, and then sort of turning back to the front lines, doing their frontline stuff. You can also like stun Reinhardt to drop barriers for you. It's really cool. It's like a really nice little synergy. So as someone who plays a decent amount of Widow these days, Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. I'm pretty happy to have a support that like finally feels like she synergizes, especially after playing with like Moiras and Lucio so much recently. It's like, hey, yeah, someone
heal me,
who
please.
can actually look after me. Yeah, heal me. Especially with Widowmaker, it's like, heal me. It's like such a demand.
And then you just die, and it's like, well, Lucio's still singing his stupid song, like, hey, man, it's so good. Whatever, Lucio. It's not all good. It's a world full of warfare and death. Right then, so yeah, in terms of heroes that she synergizes with, I think, like we said, the I don't see her as a support, right? I don't think we're going to see comps where it'll be like Anna and then it'll be Brigitte. I don't think that provides enough support for the generic team comps we would see. I think you take her, and again, this is just an initial knee-jerk reaction, if you want to just go straight in for the old, like, Moira meatball, but you'd have, like, instead of taking maybe the... Like, the problem is... So I was going to say, instead of taking the D.Va, but the problem is D.Va is D.Va, and D.Va is mega strong, so to replace D.Va with a Brigitte would be a little bit... it would be a problem.
This is why I feel like the rain on people's parade, because I'm like, okay, well, she's probably not going to occupy the support slot because she can be shut down so easily. So now she's competing against, Zarya, which she can compete against, I think, pretty well.
I think so, yeah.
D.Va, who is extremely in meta right now, very powerful all around and sort of really, really useful in a lot of situations, and Roadhog, who's also pretty strong at the moment. Now, tanks are probably going to have a tougher time in the coming meta in Season 9 with Sombra coming in. Sombra shuts down a lot of tanks, so maybe she can creep in there, but she's also somewhat vulnerable to Sombra, because I imagine the way the hack works, I'm not 100% on this, but hack now disables passives. And you won't get that healing output if you get hacked as Brigitte. And it's not that hard to actually get a hack on her, because the barrier is so small, it's easy to get behind her, get a quick hack on her, and then disable everything she can do, and then she's just a sitting duck. So it's like... fitting her into a team comp and actually getting use out of her is going to be the trick, and she feels really good on PTR. But when you get into especially like the high-level gameplay, exactly,
like
it's going to be tough, I think.
I think the hero's like design, like the sheer fun of the hero, it feels like Doomfist again. When I first played Doomfist on a PTR, I'm like, wow, this is so cool. I mean, yeah, Doomfist had problems with his fist hitbox at that time and all kinds of stuff. And how much Doomfist do I play now? Well, none, basically. But Brigitte is... I don't know whether this is just because back in the day I did play paladins in various MMOs, and I'm looking at her and I'm like, well, this is just a paladin. It's the same reason why I played Reinhardt initially as my first sort of main in Overwatch. It was like, this is just a tank. I want to be a tank, but then I also want to play FPS games. So then I start gravitating back to being DPS, which will probably happen after the first week of Brigitte goes to live. It'll be everyone's playing her, and then everyone's back to Genji or something ridiculous. Hello, 6 DPS comms. But I feel she's really fun to play, and you get this combo feeling with her, which is the same sort of feeling you do get with Doomfist. So when you're comboing the shield bash and the flail and all of those abilities and the armor pack, throwing it out to people, or it's not called armor pack. What is this thing called? Repair pack.
It's
so
repair
annoying.
pack.
It should be called armor pack. Well, no, I guess it does.
Torbjorn's already got the armor pack, so that's why.
I hate.
They have to be different names.
Because we might get kerfuddled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's really fun to play, but it is obviously extremely early days for her. But I do think we're probably going to see... I don't think she's trash. Like, I don't think she's a hero that we're just not going to see. And this is actually possibly the way they're going now with new heroes. I mean, would you agree with this if I make this statement? That they're going more down the path of making these... sort of niche heroes that fit in certain comps and probably work on certain maps as well. So when we look at the game, we're not getting like, a tracer type heroes, which is playable in every
it's
single...
just like, and everything. Like, the key word there is maps, and I think maps is where Brigitte's going to sort of be strong or be weak. So Brigitte or whatever it is.
Brigitte!
You have to do it with the accent as well, apparently. God, stop. It's
but it just doesn't sound right if I go Brigitte. Brigitte.
Right. No, I sound more Italian now. We're going Italian. Brigitte, no. Right. Okay. No, maps. Maps is where she's going to sort of either, feast or famine on maps. Like, I can see her being good on stuff like, First Point Hollywood, maybe, because there's, like, walls you can abuse. But imagine, like, King's Row.
Numbani should be quite good if against dive. The problem is, it's too easy to count, though. Right, this is the problem, right? If they're rolling dive, and then you're sitting at the back, let's say with an Anna on the high ground, and you're hiding in the corner, it's Brigitte, and then Winston comes in and you knock him back, that's great. But then, once that attack fails, they just change their comp?
They go,
They just
yeah,
get
they go
Farah.
far assault, and
you're
then
dead.
they play
Yeah.
long range, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
they just shoot. It's the same with like King's Row as well. Like if you think about how a lot of assaults on King's Row work, they move behind the statue and then sort of set up there, and there's like a poke phase. And can you imagine playing Brigitte in that phase, and you're just like doing nothing? You're just trying to run forward and hit people, but then you have to back away quickly because you're melee range. They're staying behind the statue, and you can't really do anything unless you're playing like a counter dive comp, and then maybe you can get something done. But if you're playing that counter dive comp, is that really going to work super well? How's that going to go? If you start taking losses, you're going to lose really quickly. So it's like, okay, she's going to have to fit in certain maps. Like Hanamura, I can see her being amazing. On a lot of attacks, I can see her being amazing as well. You can play like, you know, the Moira meatball idea, and you can play these very, very tanky comps, these rush down comps, and go with that. And that could be a lot of fun. But otherwise, I can see her just being super map dependent.
She needs to be on the
long-range maps,
initiating team, in my eyes, almost all of the time. Like, the team needs to be massively aggressive. If it's not, then she suffers, because when she's waiting for the fight to break out, she's not. She's not in the fight. The problem is she needs to be in the fight when it begins to get maximum return. At least that's what I'm seeing in my head. Like when you go back to the idea of the King's Row attack, yeah, people go around the statue. What would I theoretically be doing there? Is Brigitte? Well, I'd be spamming my left shift into them to try and hit them at range, but that's not really going to do it. Does 70 damage. It's not going to do anything. It's just going to knock them back a little bit. They won't care. They're going to come into the fight, but they get to initiate there. And the problem is, like you said, you'd have to be running a counter dive into that, or at least trying to bait them into the corner, then spring on top of them and try and hit them with loads of damage. But is that maximum? I don't know. She is a difficult one.
Yeah, so this is why I feel like I'm a rain on everyone's parade, because we started this. It's like, yeah, she feels overpowered, and now it's like, actually, she's kind of niche in certain places. What I will say is that I imagine very similar to when Moira was released, there were a lot of very, very salty Genji players and a lot of very, very salty Tracer players, mostly Genji players though, and I can see this being exactly the same with Brigitte, because my God, does she destroy Dragon Blades. It is the most satisfying thing in the world, where he just, shouts his weeb nonsense, pulls out the blade, and you just bash him around.
Yeah, I've got a clip of that.
So
you might have
fun.
seen that in this video, ladies and gentlemen, but I was on Horizon, and Genji is nanobladed, and he jumped, and I'm just like, no. And he's just like, what? And in the chat, he's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, here we go. Here we go.
Sit down, son.
Well, he got bashed,
So
and then he got
satisfying.
flailed away, so he just was nowhere to be seen. To be honest, there you go.
I think Genji's in for a hard time lately.
Well,
yeah, she's fun. She's so fun.
Good Genjis are still okay, though. Hey.
So, like, again, Sombra, the most satisfying thing in the world, at least one of them, is hacking either a Genji or a Hanzo and watching them face plant into a wall and do nothing. If you haven't seen that with the new Sombra hack, it is so satisfying and hilarious.
I seen a clip where somebody hacked a Genji trying to double jump off the edge of Nepal, and they just hacked him, and he just fell down the hole. It was like, it was like, get lost, Genji. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, yeah, we started the video saying OP. Like, it's difficult, right? I think in certain situations she might feel like that. But remember, guys, it's a brand new hero. It's on PTR. All of the stuff that we've been playing, it's all over the shop. Once we get her into competitive, once we get her actually into the game, then we'll start seeing what's going on. I've seen some feedback of some of the pros. Some of the guys from Spitfire were talking about her, and they didn't really seem like, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to invest loads of time into it. They were like, hey, it looks all right. But it's like, the problem is trying to convince those guys, is it worth a support slot? Is it worth dropping a Zen or a Lucio or whatever comp you're running at the time? Well, we all know how powerful Zen is. So, I mean, it's like, is it really? Because Brigitte, that's like, whatever her name is.
Brigitte.
She,
Brigitte.
Brigitte, it's like Baguette. She, like...
Right, Vegeta, okay.
Oh, she's explosive like Zen, but only at melee range. Zen can wipe you out wherever the hell he feels like. This is why I find it really hard to see her occupying even like the off support role or the flex support role or whatever you want to call it. She's not a main support. She's not really a flex support. She's a melee tank, off tank, which heals the other tanks in certain comps. So if you're running a massive tanky comp on whatever map you want to do that on, she's going to be fine. Unless the enemies start countering your comp hardcore, then you've got a problem. But like, we go back to the idea of a map meta and stuff like that. I think this hero, I think every hero going forward now, we're not going to see a straight up hero which is just going to apply in every situation, unless it's a design mistake or they do something like that. They're going to be heroes which are going to force the swapping of your team comp. Like we said, right, with Numbani. Yeah, you play Brigitte and then into a dive comp, yeah, you repel their first attack and it's awesome. Unless that team are brain dead and continue to keep rolling the dive straight into you and you just keep killing them over and over again, they'll swap their team comp and then they'll kill you. That's the idea. I think with the different heroes that get added, and if they continue along this template, then we'll be in a sort of like the ideal Overwatch zone. At least this is what I believe the developers sort of vision of the game is, where we're not just playing one hero all game. Like, I'll ask you this question, Joss. How many times do you play one hero in a game?
Well, on my main, I'm usually a support main, so it's normally all the time. But even on my sort of off, as alternate accounts, it's usually, just the same hero pretty much all game long.
It's
maybe
very
one
rare,
change.
isn't it? Yeah, it's very rare that you change. I think they want to get away from that. Maybe this is the sort of way they start doing it. But, how long does it take to add heroes? We could be here forever for this. One last thing I want to end the video on is this. Like, the actual meta we've got right now, I think is pretty good. We haven't really seen Sombra rise to prevalence just yet, because I think the season's only literally just started. But when we look at Owl without Sombra, I think it's actually pretty good. We see a lot of support diversity. We see a lot of tank diversity. We see a lot of diverse comps, really. We are going into this idea of more of a map-based meta. The thing is, though, how do you think Brigitte and Sombra will change the meta in Season 9? Like, do you think...
Massively.
I mean, Sombra is a huge one.
Sombra,
right?
yeah. Sombra, okay, so Sombra is going to do a huge amount to pretty much every tank, and like every single pro and semi-pro who's been scrimming a lot on the PTR already, and who's been practicing around the new Sombra, all the feedback has been the same, which is that she completely takes over the game completely starts revolving around who gets off the first hack or who gets off the better hack, who disables the tanks and that kind of stuff.
You've got 0.6 seconds to stop the hack. I actually showed this in one of my recent videos. I'm on Numbani. We're getting towards the second point. I'm on the high ground on attack. There's an Ana on the low ground where the checkpoint is, and I hack her. Like, in what world can she scan 360 to find me and try and interrupt me in 0.6 seconds? It's like, well, you can't. You're dead. And she's screwed, and then she's dead. It's so...
Yeah, it's... So Sombra is going to, I think, take over. If Sombra does take over, and like we can enter like Sombra Tracer, Sombra Soldier, stuff like that happening, then tanks are going to get a lot weaker. Like tanks especially, usually like tanks rely on some form of active mitigation. Like Reinhardt has to bring his barrier up, Winston has to drop his bubble and jump away, Roadhog huffs his paint can, whatever. If they can't do that, they just die. And Sombra sort of enables you to just annihilate these tanks over and over again with your other DPS, and with the Zenyatta, it's super easy to do. So you can see like tanks fading away slightly, which is where, Brigitte can come in a little bit, provide some armor, which does cause problems for Sombra. She can't really deal with it easily. Also, I noticed that her ultimate, Brigitte's ultimate, charges super quickly, so you can have a lot of armor in your team.
I think a lot of these things, I think that'll get tuned. Like the rate at which the ultimate charges, you could just rush into a fight, start flailing, and then it's like, I've got my ultimate, and then you pop it, then you've got it again for the next fight. Once a little skirmish has broke out, that will get
or
tuned.
even in the same fight.
Yeah,
I have them pop up in like 2 in 1 fight. It's been ridiculous. So yeah, like that can definitely help out a little bit. It's just we are sort of under the shadow, fittingly, of Sombra at the moment, I think, and we're waiting to see how that lands and how that works out in normal tier play. But also, like with an extra CC, with an extra stun and getting involved, that could slow it down slightly. So we'll have to see how that one goes. But yeah, I'm worried about Sombra more than Brigitte coming in and changing absolutely everything. It's going to be interesting to see where she lands, though. Like, I'm curious to see if people do try and run her, like, because she is in that support category. Like, we've had this problem with Symmetra forever, where, she's listed as a support, so why are we playing triple support? And it's like, well, she's not really the same as Zenyatta or Mercy or Lucio. She can sort of fill that off-tank role because she's this support tank hybrid, and let's see where she lands, like what she's competing for as a slot, and that could be very interesting to see where that goes. Hopefully, I'm expecting her to fall into that off-tank slot.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you think about this in the comments below. If you've had a chance to check out Brigitte Lindholm on the PTR, then do let us know how you feel about it, especially if you're an off-tank player. I think I'm more interested in what a flex tank player's got to think about this rather than a support. I know that Jeff, in the developer update video, did say, hey, if maybe you're a support and you'd like to play a tank, then you could try this hero. Or if you're a tank that'd like to play a support, hey, then you could play this hero. But I don't think it's as simple as that. Although I guess it would be a little bit of a gateway into playing a different type of hero. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. I've been Stylosa, and this has been Unit Lost, and I've been joined by the wonderful...
Me, hello, I'm Josh's one voice amongst many. It's been my pleasure.
And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Toodaloo.